Abraham was no longer the young man who crossed deserts with nothing but a promise in his heart. He was a man who had witnessed the impossible unfold. He had heard the voice of God when he had no children. He had waited while time itself seemed to mock the promise. He had held in his arms the son who was born when everything seemed biologically finished. Now, in his later years, the narrative slows down. The text tells us that he took another wife, Keturah, and had other sons. But something stands out. Despite having other descendants, Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. To the sons of his concubines, he gave gifts and sent them away. Why? Because the promise was not merely about biological descent. It was about covenant. It was about purpose. Not every son carries the promise, only the one chosen to continue the divine plan. This is the first reflection that emerges. Are you simply living, or are you discerning the purpose you carry? Not everything we produce in life is part of the promise. Some things are fruits of the journey, others are fruits of calling. The text says Abraham died in a good old age, old and full of years. What a profound expression! He did not merely die old. He died fulfilled. There is a vast difference between aging and being satisfied, between surviving and completing your purpose. Isaac and Ishmael bury him together. The image is powerful. Two brothers who once lived in tension now stand side by side before their father's body. Death has a way of silencing minor disputes and reminding us of what truly matters. After Abraham's death, the narrative shifts its focus to Isaac. The promise continues. God had not spoken only to Abraham. He was building a generational story. Then another familiar scene emerges. Rebekah, Isaac's wife, is barren. History seems to repeat itself. Isaac prays for her. Unlike his father, who once tried to solve the promise with his own hands in the case of Hagar, Isaac intercedes. He cries out. And the text says the Lord answered him. Rebekah conceives. But the pregnancy is not peaceful. She feels an intense struggle within her. And she asks a question that still echoes today. If it is so, why then am I this way? How often do we ask the same question in the midst of conflict? When the promise arrives but comes wrapped in pain. When what we prayed for brings turbulence instead of tranquility. Rebekah inquires of the Lord. And she receives a startling answer. 2 nations are in your womb. 2 people shall be separated. The older shall serve the younger. Before they are even born, their destinies are declared. Human logic is overturned. The firstborn, culturally the natural heir, would serve the younger. Here we learn something profound. God does not submit to human conventions. He chooses according to his purposes. The twins are born. The first comes out red and covered with hair. He is named Esau. The second emerges holding his brother's heel. He is called Jacob, the one who grasps, who holds the heel, who supplants. From birth, tension is established. Esau grows to become a skillful hunter, a man of the field. Jacob is described as a quiet man, dwelling in tents. This is more than a career description. It is a contrast of temperaments. Esau is impulsive, practical, physical. He lives by what he sees, hunts, and feels. Jacob is strategic, domestic, observant. He lives by calculation, anticipation, perception. The text also reveals a dangerous family dynamic. Isaac loved Esau because he enjoyed his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Preferences within the home. Divided affections. How many families are silently shaped by favoritism? How many future conflicts begin with subtle inclinations left unchecked? Then we arrive at one of the most dramatic scenes in the narrative. Esau returns from the field exhausted. He sees Jacob cooking red stew and says, "Let me eat some of that red stew, for I am exhausted." Jacob sees an opportunity. He replies, Sell me your birthright now." The birthright was not merely a double portion of inheritance. It was family leadership, spiritual authority, continuation of Abraham's covenant promise. Esau responds with a revealing statement. "I am about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" He exaggerates his hunger to justify his decision. He turns a temporary need into an argument to surrender something eternal. Jacob demands an oath. Esau swears. And he sells his birthright for bread and lentil stew. The text concludes sharply. Thus Esau despised his birthright. It was not merely a transaction. It was contempt, a devaluing of what was sacred. Here lies the central theme of the story, exchanging what is eternal for what is immediate. How often do we do the same? How many decisions are made because we are tired? Because we are emotionally hungry? Because we want relief now? Esau did not sell his birthright because he was evil. He sold it because he was ruled by the present moment. His hunger spoke louder than his future. Jacob, on the other hand, valued the promise, but sought to obtain it through questionable means. He desired what was spiritual, yet used opportunism to seize it. Here we see two distinct errors. Esau despises what is sacred. Jacob values what is sacred, but pursues it through crooked methods. The story invites us to examine not only what we desire, but how we pursue it. What have you treated as lentils in your life? What have you treated as your birthright? There are moments when integrity feels too costly. Moments when waiting feels unbearable. Moments when the promise seems distant and the warm bowl is right in front of you. And then we decide. Esau eats, drinks, rises, and walks away. The narration is almost cold. No drama. No immediate regret. Some decisions that shape our future feel small when we make them. Abraham died satisfied because he lived by the promise. Esau lived by the appetite of the day. Which trajectory are we following? This generational transition is deeply symbolic. Abraham represents persevering faith. Isaac represents quiet continuity. Jacob and Esau represent the inner battle between the immediate and the eternal. Perhaps the greatest lesson of this chapter is this. The promise continues, but individuals choose how to position themselves in relation to it. God declared before their birth, "The older shall serve the younger." Yet Esau still bore responsibility for his choices. Divine sovereignty does not eliminate human accountability. This leads to another essential question. Are you aware of the value of what you carry? Perhaps your birthright is not a material inheritance, but principles you were taught, faith you received, opportunities entrusted to you, natural gifts placed within you. Do you treat them as ordinary or as sacred? And what about Jacob? Have you tried to accelerate promises that require time? The story will continue. Jacob will face consequences. Deception. Exile. He will wrestle with God. He will be transformed. But it all begins here. With a bowl. With an oath. With a moment of weakness. Great destinies can be diverted by small, repeated decisions. In the end, Abraham's death is not the end of the promise. It is simply the passing of the baton. The promise survives generations. But each generation must decide, will it live by faith or by impulse? And perhaps the most honest question is this. If today you were hungry, emotionally, financially, relationally, what would you be willing to sell? More importantly, would you recognize the value of what you are giving away? The story of Genesis 25 is not merely about two ancient brothers. It is about the constant tension between flesh and purpose, between now and eternity, between desire and destiny. Abraham ends his life full of days. Esau ends the chapter with a full stomach, but a compromised future. What does it truly mean to be satisfied? Perhaps it is not about having eaten well today. Perhaps it is about having preserved what defines who you will become tomorrow.
If this story spoke to your heart, don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel and follow every chapter of the Bible told as powerful, easy to understand stories. Leave a like, share with someone who needs to hear this message, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episodes. See you in the next chapter.